Dumbledore as Death. One of the most famous theories is that Dumbledore isn't just a headmaster, he's a stand-in for death itself. The connection comes from the tale of the three brothers in the Deathly Hallows. In the story, Death gives each brother a gift: the Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, and the Invisibility Cloak. Each brother's fate mirrors a major character in the series. Voldemort dies chasing the Elder Wand. Snape is destroyed by his obsession with a lost love like Cadmus, and Harry survives by embracing humility, just like Ignatus with the cloak. The idea is that Dumbledore represents death because he's linked to all three Hallows. He owned the Elder Wand, he briefly possessed the Resurrection Stone hidden in his ring, and he's the one who ultimately passes the cloak to Harry. More importantly, when Harry sacrifices himself in the Forbidden Forest, it's Dumbledore who greets him in the afterlife at King's Cross. The theory works because Harry meets death like an old friend, exactly how the fairy tale ends. While Rowling never confirmed it, the parallels are so clear that many fans see Dumbledore as the embodiment of death in the story. It ties the fairy tale to the main plot in a way that feels almost too perfect to be coincidence. Neville, the Chosen One. Trelawney's prophecy in Order of the Phoenix could have referred to either Harry Potter or Neville Longbottom. It spoke of a boy born at the end of July, whose parents had defied Voldemort 3 times, and who would have the power to defeat the Dark Lord. Both Harry and Neville fit those details. What decided the outcome was Voldemort himself. By targeting Harry, he marked him with the famous lightning scar, marking him as his equal. But if Voldemort had chosen Neville instead, the entire saga could have played out with Neville as the central figure. And Neville's story actually supports this theory. His parents were tortured into insanity by Bellatrix Lestrange, showing the personal cost of Voldemort's war. Neville later proves his strength by killing Nagini, the final Horcrux in Deathly Hallows. In many ways, he fulfills the prophecy as much as Harry does. The idea is that fate didn't point to just one child. Voldemort's choice created Harry as the chosen one, but Neville always carried the same potential. That's why many fans believe Neville was every bit as destined as Harry. Snape as the true hero. At first glance, Severus Snape is one of the most hated teachers at Hogwarts. He bullies students, favors Slytherin, and never hides his bitterness. But behind all of that, Snape was living a double life, and the truth reveals just how much he sacrificed. Snape's entire adult life was defined by his love for Lily Potter. After she was killed by Voldemort, Snape dedicated himself to protecting her son. Even though Harry was a reminder of everything he lost, he became Dumbledore's spy within Voldemort's ranks, risking death every time he passed on information. Key moments show his true role. He saved Harry multiple times in Philosopher's Stone, worked to keep the boy alive during the Triwizard Tournament, and gave Harry the memories that explained how to defeat Voldemort at the end. His spells even demonstrate his duality. He created Sectum Sempra, a deadly curse, but also invented Vulnera Senatur, the healing counter-curse. In the end, Snape dies revealing his love for Lily, but also giving Harry exactly what he needs to win. The theory that Snape was the true hero highlights how his hidden bravery shaped the entire story, while Harry might never have survived without him. Harry as immortal. Fans argue Harry is literally immortal because he united the Deathly Hallows and died, then came back. Here's what's actually true. Harry did possess all 3 Hallows. He inherited the invisibility cloak from his father. He used the Resurrection Stone hidden in the snitch. And he became master of the Elder Wand after disarming Draco at Malfoy Manor. He also survived a killing curse in the Forbidden Forest. Canon explains that survival. Voldemort used Harry's blood when he returned in Goblet of Fire, taking Lily's protection into his own body and tethering Harry to life while Voldemort lived. In the forest, the curse destroyed the Horcrux inside Harry, not Harry's soul, which is why he meets Dumbledore at King's Cross and can choose to return. Dumbledore also says the Master of Death isn't someone who can't die, it's someone who accepts death. So, is Harry immortal? Not in a literal sense. He's the true Master of Death philosophically. He held the Hallows, accepted mortality, and chose life. He can still die naturally, in old age, peacefully, if he's lucky, maybe. Crookshanks was the Potter's cat. This theory says Crookshanks was the Potter's cat and later ended up at Magical Menagerie, where Hermione bought him. It lines up with a few clues. In Deathly Hallows, Lily's letter mentions a cat in the cottage at Godric's Hollow. In Prisoner of Azkaban, the shopkeeper says Crookshanks had been there for quite a long time. And J.K. Rowling confirmed he's half Kneazle, creatures that sense untrustworthy people. Crookshanks immediately distrusts Scabbers, that's Peter Pettigrew, and cooperates with Sirius in his Animagus form. Nothing in canon confirms he was the Potter's cat, though. The letter never names the animal. And there's no direct line tying the cat to Hermione's ginger, flat-faced companion. The safer read, Crookshanks recognized Pettigrew and Sirius because of his Kneazle traits, not because he knew them from the Potter's home. Still, the timeline and behavior keep the theory alive, and it remains a fan favorite, maybe. Harry and Voldemort are distant relatives. This one is barely a theory, it's essentially canon. Harry and Voldemort are distant relatives through the Peverell brothers. Harry descends from Ignatus Peverell, whose invisibility cloak passed down the Potter line from father to son. Voldemort descends from Cadmus Peverell through the Gaunt family. Marvolo Gaunt even bragged about that ancestry, wearing the signet ring that held the Resurrection Stone. Dumbledore connects the dots in Deathly Hallows and notes that most old wizarding families intermarried, so distant links are common. You also see the name in Godric's Hollow. Harry visits Ignatus's grave marked Peverell. What does all that mean? Technically, the Chosen One and the Dark Lord share very old blood. It doesn't make them close relatives, and it doesn't drive the plot the way the Horcrux link did. But it adds symmetry. Both heirs of the Hallows creators, fated to clash over power and death. So yes, distant kin through the Peverell is one theory that actually is true. The trio mirrors the Hallows. The trio as Hallows is a symbolic fan theory. Harry maps to the invisibility cloak. It's a literal heirloom he uses, and his defining choice is humility and protection over power. Ron maps to the Elder Wand. He's impulsive, dual, happy as a kid, and his biggest temptations are status and control, the power piece. Hermione maps to the Resurrection Stone. She retrieves the past, translates ancient texts, and keeps memory alive so the others can act. You also get visual echoes. The cloak is on Harry. Ron obsesses over wands and ends up wielding the power-soaked sword of Gryffindor. Hermione is the one who carries history, from Beetle the Bard to Time Turner work. Is it canon? No, it's a tidy narrative mirror, not stated by Rowling. Still, the parallels are tight enough that many fans read the trio through this lens. Fred's death marked George's fate. This theory says Fred's death permanently changed George's magic. The facts. In Deathly Hallows, George loses an ear during the Seven Potters mission. Snape's Sectum Sempra hits him by mistake, and later Fred is killed in the Battle of Hogwarts. After the war, J.K. Rowling confirmed George marries Angelina Johnson, names his son Fred, and continues Weasley's Wizard Wheezies, first with Ron's help and then on his own. Fans argue that George can't cast a Patronus anymore because Patronuses need strong, happy memories. That idea fits thematically, but it isn't stated in the books or Pottermore, and there's no canon Patronus form listed for George. What is canon is the depth of the loss. George and Fred are a literary one soul in two bodies. And the story treats Fred's death as a wound that never closes. So, the theory makes emotional sense. Its plausible grief would weaken a Patronus, but it remains unconfirmed. The basilisk was the key to Harry's Horcrux. The basilisk encounter in Chamber of Secrets turns out to be the key to destroying Horcruxes. Basilisk venom is one of the few substances that can permanently damage a Horcrux. Phoenix tears are the only cure for the venom's effects. In the chamber, Harry kills the basilisk with the Sword of Gryffindor. The sword absorbs the venom, and he stabs Tom Riddle's diary, proving a Horcrux can be killed that way. That discovery shapes the endgame. The sword's venom lets Ron destroy the Locket Horcrux. During the Battle of Hogwarts, Ron and Hermione reopen the chamber and use Basilisk's fangs to destroy Hufflepuff's cup. The diadem falls to Fiendfire. and the fragment in Harry is blasted by Voldemort's killing curse, not by venom. So, the theory works if you phrase it this way. The basilisk didn't kill the Horcrux inside Harry, but it provided the method that made killing Horcruxes possible. Trelawney predicted more than it seems. Professor Trelawney is usually treated like a joke, but her real prophecies are canon. She delivers 2 true ones: the original prophecy about the child with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord, overheard by Snape and given to Voldemort, and years later during Harry's exam in Prisoner of Azkaban, the trance in which she says the Dark Lord will rise again with his servant's aid, which comes true that night when Pettigrew escapes. She also drops eerie foreshadowing in Half-Blood Prince. She keeps pulling the lightning-struck tower in her cards, and mentions ominous signs in the crystal ball, right before Dumbledore is killed on the astronomy tower. So, the pattern is clear. Most of her day-to-day predictions are fluff, but when she goes into a true trance, it's the real deal. Fans argue that even her vague omens often line up with later events. King's Cross is a real limbo. After the killing curse in the forest, Harry wakes in a bright, misty version of King's Cross and meets Dumbledore. He sees a broken, flayed creature suffering nearby, the maimed fragment of Voldemort's soul. Dumbledore explains Harry can go on or return. Then he delivers the line fans quote, "It's happening inside Harry's head. But why on earth should that mean it's not real?" Canon frames this as both internal and real. It's in Harry's mind, yet it functions like a liminal space, where truths can be learned and choices made. Nothing there contradicts the rules we know. The Horcrux inside Harry has been destroyed. Harry's soul is intact. Lily's protection still works because Voldemort used Harry's blood. So, is it literal afterlife? The books don't label it, but as a magical in-between where the living meet knowledge beyond life. It fits perfectly, which is why many readers call it limbo. Draco Malfoy was a werewolf. This theory points to Draco's sickly look and Fenrir Greyback's presence in Half-Blood Prince. Fans argue Greyback bit Draco to punish the Malfoys, explaining Draco's paleness and stress. Canon doesn't support it. There's no bite scene, no transformations, and no mention of Wolfsbane or moon cycles. Draco's decline is explained in the text. He's a teenager tasked with assassinating Dumbledore and fixing the vanishing cabinet under death threats to his family. Greyback works with the Death Eaters and menaces targets, but the books never implied Draco was turned. J.K. Rowling never confirmed this either. So as symbolism, Draco being hunted by the monster he helped invite, it works. As literal canon, it doesn't land. He's a stressed kid, not a werewolf. Ron as Dumbledore. Fans call this the Rombledore theory. Ron grows up to become Albus Dumbledore via time travel. People point to chessboard sacrifice parallels, a shared love of sweets, and Dumbledore's uncanny knowledge of the trio's inner lives. It sounds fun, but canon breaks it immediately. We know Dumbledore's childhood, Kendra, Ariana, and Aberforth in Godric's Hollow, and his teenage friendship with Grindelwald long before Ron is born. Ron's family and timeline are fully documented, and both characters appear on page together repeatedly. Rowling's time turners only go back hours, not decades, and the Ministry's stock is smashed in the Department of Mysteries. Even Cursed Child's enhanced time turners don't salvage this. Since Ron and Dumbledore have independent biographies, the verdict? Entertaining fan puzzle, not actually possible. Ginny used Amortentia. Some fans claim Ginny used Amortentia on Harry, or that the diary functioned like a love potion in Chamber of Secrets. Canon doesn't support either. In that book, Ginny is possessed by Tom Riddle's diary. Amortentia isn't introduced until Half-Blood Prince. We actually see who uses love potions. Merope Gaunt on Tom Riddle Sr., and Romilda Vane attempts to dose Harry. Ron eats the spiked chocolates and becomes infatuated. Fred and George sell love potions at Weasley's Wizard Wheezy's, but there's no hint Ginny uses one. Harry's feelings for Ginny grow naturally in Half-Blood Prince, jealousy noticing her confidence, and the Felix Felicis nudged kiss after the Quidditch win. So the theory reads as headcanon born from coincidence, not text. Canon gives enough evidence. Dementor's Kiss theory. This theory says a Dementor's kiss leaves a soulless body that a dark wizard can then animate as an Inferius. The term sounds similar, but canon treats them as different categories. The Dementor's kiss removes the soul from a living person. The victim survives physically but becomes permanently empty, like a living shell. By contrast, Inferi are literal corpses reanimated by dark magic. Voldemort uses them in the cave in Half-Blood Prince, and they're repelled by fire. Nothing in the book suggests Dementors create inferi, or that kissed victims die on the spot. Could a kissed person later die, and the corpse be raised as an inferius? In theory, yes, but that's true of any corpse. The conversion idea is false.